All right, welcome back to Finding Truth Podcast here on Unscripted Truth TV. Logan here with Austin and another race to cover. And I would say that, it's obvious what they're doing because it is kind of obvious. It's just so hard to predict that they would do something so, I don't know. I would say boring. That's not the best adjective I can come up with, but formulaic. I don't know. It's something to just kind of. It's almost like it's a palate cleanser. Almost like they're going to have some kind of another huge shift next year with maybe the rules or even like a change up to the format, to the playoff or format or the cup format, because like what they're doing this year is just so. I wouldn't imagine it'd be that fun to watch as a fan or be a fan of right now. And I could even show you anecdotal evidence of that if you guys are any kind of fan of Facebook comments, because I was doing some research earlier today and I got caught up into the Facebook. I don't use Facebook, but I was just searching and I was looking for one specific thing about the race, and I ended up chasing a picture and it sent me to Facebook. And so I ended up reading the comments and like, man, there was only a few comments. In fact, it was nice to read because you know how there's always the like, actually, NASA performs every rocket test up to standards and they have double checks, so they could never be lying about their stuff. You know, there's those people in the comments saying like, oh, this is hilarious. Look at the tinfoil hat people come out. But it was just like 90% of people were just like, this shit's rigged. And this is rigged for Jordan and for 23XI. And there was one guy who was like, well, yeah, when's Trackhouse getting all their wins? Well, first of all, season ain't over yet.
Yeah.
And second of all, it could be by season. Look at last year. It's like, yeah, 23XI did pretty good as a team. And even if you wanted to include Denny Hamlin, for sure, they did great, in fact. But of course, they had Bubba in, but they're what was I going to say? Oh, Tyler was an entry in there, like I said, but like I mentioned before, with 0 wins. And we talked about that during that time. We're like, this is not arbitrary. They did not do this for no reason. There's no way the end of the season came and they have a guy with no wins in there. There's a reason he's there. And at that time, there was no real reason to think Tyler Reddick was going to go on a tear, unless you followed and paid attention that they're going through this whole lawsuit in the off season and the things we broke down too separately, aside from that, like Chad Little being on the committee and all these other little things, which is good. We're gonna weave that back in today too, so we'll be mentioning that. But yeah, just without going on too long in the intro, it's been a pretty boring season to start. We'll see what they got moving forward. And they just love breaking hearts. We had a semi call on the 45 aspect of the race, but not anything. We were. I mean, I was especially high on having a Biffle tribute win, and just to see Keselowski win both stages, almost win the race, but just barely lose at the end. It's just like, what are you guys doing to me? This can't keep happening. But anyway. So yeah, it'll be pretty NASCAR heavy show today, and but we do plan on getting into some deeper aspects of what we've been talking about. I know you have a lot more good notes and catches from even some broadcasts from the past that kind of tie into today's broadcast with the tribute they did, and so we'll get into all of that. But yeah, how's it going, dude?
Yeah, it's going as I guess as good as can be here on the big Skull and Bones 322. Last week we were on the Ides of March, and yeah, this week was just this week was really something. I mean, I kind of felt like last week too. I was like getting sick again too. I noticed right when I got home last week before we started this, I felt like I was getting sick again too. So I've been I've been getting better, but pretty much has been sick all week and. Still just kind of fighting through stuff and dealing with stuff, and there's so much going on just around me in the world and people, and it's just been really crazy. It's been a wild week, and I know April's coming, and you feel it coming in the air, and I see all the buds and stuff are popping out on the trees. It's crazy too. Like even where I'm at too, it's so flooded. It's basically about what it was before, about as bad. And what's weird is it hasn't. It didn't even rain Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's like 3 days now, and it's like worse than it was. Like it like when it doesn't rain, it makes it worse. Like the not raining is like flooding. I don't understand it. I don't get it. It's weird. Um, it's it's like right back where we were when it was bad before, and then we had the flooding and the rivers and Biffle and everything going down, and now it's like it's back and it's mocking us even more, even harder, and now it's like not even being now it's just like the new normal. People aren't even talking about it. It's like, oh, the rivers are flooding, all this, all that, and it's not even raining. Well, now it is raining, and it's like
Yeah, now I take a
it is
boat to work. It's whatever.
yeah yeah it's like now it is raining and it is flooding and stuff, and it is bad, but it's like, oh, it's not it's not that again. It's now this is just how it's going to be, I guess. So yeah, they're just setting up the weather warfare all around us, but yeah, hopefully it should be. I mean, there's quite a bit of spraying today too. I've noticed there's a lot of spraying lately. It's been, like I said, kind of sunny somewhat the last few days. Not super warm, but um, pretty decent. Usually April, it picks up quite a bit, especially late April and stuff. It starts to get a lot nicer into May, and April should be interesting to see how it. Usually you get some pretty good amount of 60s, maybe even 70s in there. And like it's supposed to be kind of nice this week, so hopefully it gets me better, and hopefully end up recovering and not being down a whole month like I was last time, with just nonstop being sick and stuff too. And I just trying to figure out too other things. Like so I'm using different water bottles, different things to hopefully not get sick, and to get my immune system up too, and just see what's going to be thrown at me next. At this point, it's hard to say what's coming. But like I said, I felt like I was getting sick last week, and I just kind of it's not like what it was when I was down. That was pretty bad. Not the worst I've been sick, but just it went so long. Like this I was able to kind of still do stuff. Kind of more, I guess, more just kind of annoying, kind of frustrating, aggravating week more than anything. But I'm just glad it's basically over and should be feeling a lot better a week from now. It's hard to believe we're just one more episode away. 329. It's going to be April already too. So almost time to retire the beanie till November, and it's never been more about Nirvana and everything we've been talking about in the big Kurt. So yeah, I definitely got to wear it one more episode.
Yeah, it's a fan favorite, I'm sure.
It's episode 79, Williams 79, Nirvana 79, the Reflection 97.
Of course, we have a 45 win today as well.
Yep.
And like you mentioned, the whole Kurt, I guess you can say conspiracy, or the overarching, or just under the surface themes that they've been using. Of course, a lot of these things predicated on things that happened in the off season. We talk about Biffle, and remind me of the other driver that passed in the off season, Washington guy.
We had Biffle, and we had
It just escaped me. Anyway, it'll
yeah,
come
it's
to us.
escaping me right now too.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
Even in death, he got overshadowed. But along with all the rituals, like the pre-Super Bowl rituals, they of course did, and you just mentioned the flooding, funnily enough. But yeah, I don't know what you put these down to, like if you were to be an indexer of conspiracy, like what would you put Nirvana down, or Kurt Cobain down as? Is that a Washington ritual? Is this like a state ritual? Is this like but either way, Washington has been a centralized theme in a lot of rituals since the new year began, and even before then. And it just keeps unfolding. There's just so many Washington connections, and we'll get into more of it when we talk about Chad Little again, another Washington guy. But there's even more to the Washingtonness of him. Not to mention another Kurt, which is just hidden under. I failed to mention this in our little discussion we had before, but there is another Kurt. And if you're followers of Zach's channel, you'll know the Kurt I'm talking about. You'll remember the name I bring up, and there's a reason for it, and we'll get into that later. I got to make sure I write this down so I don't forget. But yeah, there's just a lot. You know, the theme of Washington has been super prevalent, and of course, you have the 4/5 date being such a ritualistic date for Washington ever since, of course, Cobain. And who knows? It's Cobain is a memorable thing for a generation or a generation and a half of people. But 4/5 is probably not only just the ritual component of it, but I'm sure it's used the date that is in more wide-reaching in a greater scope than some of the things that tend to catch our eye. But in having it catch our eye, we've been able to key into that, and then that kind of expands and shows what all what all feeds into these rituals, like not only the data 4/5, but a guy like Tyler Reddick winning, who drives the 45, and him doing this. This is like historic start on the back of a tribute season for Greg Biffle, a dead Washingtonian, and he drives. Obviously, if you losing my train of thought there, the 45 being like 4/5. Anyway, so yeah, and then there's even more connections with Jordan and even North Carolina, you could say as well, because there's been quite a few connections with North Carolina. Seems to be a hub of drivers and crew chiefs and owners and things of that nature too, along with, I would say, Florida and what's the other one? Anyway, there's a few places that seem to be like huge hubs of NASCAR, and but yeah, why don't you grace us with your further research that we're all waiting for?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, last week when I got home Sunday night, just did a little pondering. I felt myself getting sick. I know I sent you this on Thursday. It was the race. Kurt Busch got his sponsor, the Sharpie car. I was talking about this last week. Obviously, the year he started, was blowing up was 2002. That was the 54th and season of NASCAR, the 54th running of the Old Dominion, and he won that one. Talking about that last week, but this was the 2001 season, of course, and yeah, literally 3 minutes in. If you go back and watch the first Martinsville race 2001 on April 8th, of course, on that day, you have Chris Myers, who equals 56 and 61. You have Sharpie Ford as well. Sharpie Ford's got the 65 and the same cipher as Kurt Donald Cobain too, and the 61 and the 119. You have Chad Little's birthday in there. You got my birthday. You got Earnhardt's birthday. The 119 Reflection 911 in 2001 to tie it all off. But then, yeah, Chris Myers about 3 minutes and about 10 seconds in, he says, "I'm a NASCAR Nirvana," is what he says. I am a NASCAR Nirvana, and NASCAR Nirvana equals 54. I had to go back and listen. I had to go back and make sure I was really like, did he really say that? Did I catch that? Is that what I thought I heard? I had to literally go back like 10 times to make sure I heard that right. And he was with Jeffrey L. Hammond, who equals 74. Go figure. And he was with Darrell Waltrip, and Jeffrey L. Hammond was actually Chad Little's crew chief too, which is the amazing thing about this. He was his crew chief from 98 to the end of 2000, and then Kurt Busch there at the end of 2000. and retired there for 2001. And same thing with Darrell Waltrip. Darrell Waltrip retired at the end of 2000 as well. So they were both in the booth with good old Chris Myers. And Chris Myers looked really right at Jeffrey when he said it too. I am a NASCAR Nirvana, and they were talking. Of course, like I said, they have to get that in right as the start. Like 3 minutes. As soon as they go in the booth, that's literally the first thing he's like one of the first things he says. And what's interesting about this too, there's other people involved as well that are very interesting. You have Skip Eiler too. He equals 56. Harold Holly equals 58. These are just different crew chiefs Chad Little had. Harold Holly was with them like the whole 97 season. They had 27 races together. And then Pat Tryson was his car chief from 98 to 99. And Pat Tryson ended up being Kurt Busch's crew chief at Penske.
I pulled up that clip so everyone can see it too with the CC. But yeah, if you guys can't see it right there, 3 minute mark, 3 minute 9 second mark of the 2001 Martinsville goes ahead and says, "I am NASCAR Nirvana."
Yeah, I am a NASCAR Nirvana. Yeah, I mean, like, and for all the people that, just think we're just tying things into Kurt Cobain and Nirvana and Chad Little and Kurt Busch, I mean, how are you going to deny that one? I mean, what's there to deny at this point? I mean, literally, just the fact that, I mean, I had to make sure he really said that too. I had to go back and double check. I'm like, I know what I heard, but I had to like make sure I really heard it. One of those things. Yeah, and like I said, in Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Hammond, they were driver and crew chief. I think he won like 43 races. NASCAR 43, Petty, in the 43 and all that stuff. Big time number. And then I forget how many poles they had together, but yeah, they're one of the most successful duos in NASCAR.
43 cars at Martinsville that day.
Yeah, it used to always be the 43 car field too.
Yeah.
It was always 43 for the longest time.
Well, that could be that. Well, there you go. We know why it was 43 cars.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then the craziest thing is then today, of course, you have what do you have? You have Darrell Waltrip back in the booth. So Darrell Waltrip's back, calling this one, and it's like, how do you? I mean, you can't script it any better. And you got Darrell Waltrip, and he wasn't in the booth for long. He was just there for a little bit, I guess, but he was in there, which they had to get him in there, of course. And then, at the end of the race, you got, you had Jamie Little interviewing Michael Jordan. We talked about Jamie Little. She's born April 9th. What a date. She's 47 going on 48. So, of course, Michael Jordan had to be there too. So, I mean, you could have done that any better. I mean, they had that one. They knew Michael Jordan was going to show up today. There's no doubt he was missing this one, especially with that, Tyler Reddick on the pole too. So, I mean, as soon as I seen that, either yesterday or today, that's when I figured, I'm like, well, this is probably going to be Reddick's race. I'm thinking, I felt, it was just so weird how they barely had much. Well, they weren't really doing the throwbacks anymore, too, like they were from 2015 to 2025. There was barely any throwbacks. Zane Smith had Elliott Sadler's 2000 paint scheme. That might have been the best one. There was the Carson Ostergaard Earnhardt's Wrangler paint scheme, and then the 17 truck and the truck series. I didn't really see anything for the O'Reilly series, but the truck series, Darrell Waltrip's paint scheme was on the 17. So of course he's in the booth, so that played out really well. And then the 33 truck had Dave Blaney's 2000 paint schemes. So I thought that was interesting. He had two 2000 paint schemes with Elliott Sadler and Dave Blaney. Then there was the 14 truck had like Robert Presley, Bill Lester's old paint scheme from like 2002. But I thought that was interesting too, because we'll get into Robert Presley and stuff here in a minute, and Mike Bliss, because they're a part of this whole thing as well. I know we haven't really talked about them much, but they were part of also two of these big rituals we've been talking about. And another thing we kind of missed out on too was on February 7th, the day before the Seahawks Super Bowl. It was 222 years of John Deere. So, and that was the actual John Deere person too. So, going back to the actual guy. So 222 years of him on February 7th. The Seahawks in the Super Bowl next day. So that was another big thing that we kind of managed to gloss over. But yeah, there's so much here too. And another thing that I noticed this week too, like I've talked to you about Jeremy Mayfield at his podcast back too.
Mm-hmm.
So something to think about. Some of the things he was saying, like things we're saying, how is Tyler Reddick? How is he driving this good without a fender and all this stuff? Like he was bringing up some really good points, and he was showing back like the '98 Daytona 500 and stuff like that. You know, him and Chad Little and all this stuff. I mean, they were going on it pretty good, and they were saying some pretty good things. So maybe Jeremy Mayfield's the guy that we got to hit up to get this stuff out. But I'll be paying attention to his podcast too, because there's not, there's like Kenny Wallace, there's like Dale Jr. and stuff, but there's not really a ton that have podcasts and stuff. So Jeremy Mayfield is definitely the most interesting guy, especially with everything that happened to him at NASCAR. So that's not something to definitely skew away from. But another interesting point too that I think might have something. This might kind of tie in with the Glen coming up, because the Glen is on May 10th, the day after SVG's birthday, and it was on 5/10/97. May 10th, 1997 was the fastest race ever, and Chad Little was in that race at Talladega, and Mark Martin actually ended up winning it. That was caution free. That was the fastest one in terms of time and speed. Yeah, going into what I was saying, how this all ties in with Mr. Robert William Presley. He's got William right in his name, and so you have Nirvana right in his name. So it was a perfect ritual on April 8th. And the thing about it too,
I just want to throw something out there really quick. Mr. Waltrip's birthday to this race was 45 days. So
Darrell Waltrip?
Yes, sir.
Oh, there we go.
45 car win off of a little cameo by Mr. Waltrip. Funny. Carry on. Sorry, I just thought that was
that's good stuff. I didn't even look at that. Yeah, the Darrell Waltrip stuff really was blowing up today. I didn't get enough chance to really look into him.
Well, apparently he's been critical on it. He got spotted a couple of times and had like little quick interviews with people, like paparazzi type interviews, where he was like saying he thinks NASCAR sucks now.
Yeah, I seen one video where he's like, I don't really like, I'm not really into it. It's not like what it was when I was racing and back in like 2000, but I still watch it, but I'm not really like into it. I don't really like it very much. So I heard him say that. Yeah. It's like a 5-minute video. But speaking of
that'd be another high profile one they could probably get
rid of. And he's 79, born in 47, and he's 79. So
murder. Get the sweet murder number. It's a spooky one. Yeah, sorry. Carry on. Hopefully you remember where you're placing your notes. My bad.
Oh yeah. Yeah, talking about that race, the one I keep bringing up, the April 5th, 1998, where Chad Little got second. There's only top five. That was also Robert William Presley, his best finish ever. He finished third. And he's got an April 8th birthday, the day Kurt Cobain's body was found, the day the news broke. And then he ended up getting a second at Chicagoland in 2001 to Kevin Harvick. That ended up being, so they both, him and Chad ended up both getting a second place finish. His last name's kind of interesting too. The Presley. He's got the 119, like Chad Little's birthday. You got the 38 in there, the 97, the 43. So nothing to really, scoff at there. His last name, all big time numbers. Robert's got the 78, the 33, the 84, the 39. Big time numbers there. And then of course he was born in 59. Kurt Cobain has just turned 59, so he's got that Nirvana right in his middle name. And two, the date 4/5/98 is the perfect halfway point of the rituals of Kurt Cobain and Lane Staley. So he had 4 years after Kurt and 4 years for Lane. So this was the perfect race, right dead center of two massive rituals. Like we talked about last week, how Kurt Busch won his first race 12 days before Lane Staley died. And then today, Tyler Reddick picked up his 12th win. So
Wall trip equals 45 as well. What do you know?
Yeah. Yeah, Waltrip's big. Yeah, and then Presley, he ended up getting Dave Blaney ended up taking over his car after that, so it's kind of interesting. And they did a Dave Blaney tribute, or paint scheme, so I thought that was kind of interesting. And it looked like a Robert Presley one too from the Truck Series, but another person too we talked about as well is Mike Bliss, because he's got that April 5th birthday. Mike Bliss equals 144. Michael Dwayne Bliss equals 67. Cobain born in 67. You have the 144. Bliss equals 61, 16, 74, 38. So all these guys, both these guys have really good numbers. Dwayne equals 45, 18, 90, 27. And he's born in 65. Kurt Donald Cobain equals 65. And like Chad Little, he only had the one top five, and his best finish was fourth in 2004 on 9/11. So it was actually 3 years to the day, or after 9/11. So 3 years after exactly, he gets his best finish at fourth, which is very interesting. And then that was the last race ever as well before the chase started, the first ever chase in NASCAR. So very interesting day that it would fall on 9/11, and then you get the chase the next week, and then how he'd get his best finish ever on that date. And then of course Kurt Busch would win next week and then go on to win the championship. And then what's so interesting about Kurt Busch in the 2004 at New Hampshire, sweeping those races, is it was 4 years to the death of Kenneth Dale Irwin Jr. We talked about him last week. His birthday is right the day after him and Jeff Gordon's. And the fact that, Kurt Busch won both those races that year, won the championship, and he won those races in the Irwin car, Irwin sponsor. Mm. So, I mean, pretty obvious to see what they did there. And of course, he went up, of course he would win next year at Richmond on the day before 9/11 in 2005. And then of course that would be in the Crown Royal, his last win in the 97 on 9/10/2005. And that was, of course, he then even go on to get the DUI, alcohol, and then drive the Miller Lite car. So,
at least he toned it down. He went from hard alcohol to
yeah,
beer.
The Crown Royal went too hard, man. I finished with that, but I'm just gonna be Miller Lite now. We'll tone it down a bit. And then, and then 2004, you had the Homestead race. Kurt Busch, 10 years after Kurt Cobain dies, 10 years later, it's going to be Kurt Busch winning the championship. 4 years after he got started, from Chad Little and John Deere and everything. and then he gets, they finally give him the win. And then of course he had the big race. Biffle won that race, and his wheel came off in that race, and he almost hit the pit road wall. And because his wheel went off on the track, it actually had a caution, so it actually helped him stay in the race because the caution with his wheel perfectly coming off. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have won, or he finished fifth, but he probably wouldn't have won the championship. But because of where his wheel fell off and how it fell off, it actually caused the caution, which allowed him to keep up and stuff. But it was just perfect ritual. That one, and then that was, like I said, the closest like points battle ever too. At that point when that happened, of course, that's why they had the chase. He wins the first chase, and they bring back the chase this year, and you have all the mockery and everything they've been setting up. So yeah, just really perfect how they set all this up. And yeah, just the the NASCAR Nirvana, how they set that up with the guy who was literally sitting there, was crew chief to Chad Little and Kurt Busch there, during that time. And that's what he's look at him and say that. And you got Darrell Waltrip right there. They just ended up retiring with Chad Little and everything, and John Deere, and then they were setting up for 2001. And then of course that's why they got to say that the Sharpie car is coming in. And Kurt Busch went on to finish 33rd in that race too. He got 33rd. So yeah, perfect ritual on 4-8. How they did that, they perfectly lined that up. I mean, you can't do any better than that.
Yeah, and you mentioned, as we've mentioned multiple times, the Chad Little connection, and we've kind of, I think it deserves probably more of a dive, but that, week by week we're clawing away at this thing. You more so than I. But one thing that in our quick little lead up, it's something that was new to me. You had recognized it, but I think it just, once again, it was just an odd omission on our part. Of course, we went into a little bit of detail about Chad Little. Well, a little bit of the detail. I mean, we went into great detail about him, but in one particular detail about him being on the rules committee, it just kind of like, whether or not we just didn't mention it on the podcast for whatever reason, or just kind of went over our heads at that moment. It's definitely worth mentioning. I mentioned this being such a Washington-centered rituals going on, and they're reaching in the world stage. Of course, the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl. That hopefully I don't have to go over every single thing, but there's been a lot of rituals with Washington, as I mentioned, with the NASCAR things, the Seahawks, the ongoing or the ones pre-Super Bowl and the Super Bowl, of course. But another funny thing about Chad Little, with him being a Spokane guy and born and raised there, it makes sense that he goes to Gonzaga University. He also went to Washington State, which is another interesting point because he joined a specific fraternity there, which we'll get to. But for anybody who's curious about Gonzaga, it is one of, how many schools there? Like 13? I can't remember how many Jesuit colleges. Let's just look it up so I will remember after this. 27. Okay, so I was off.
27.
There's 27. Funny enough, Jesuit colleges in the U.S., and he happened to go to. Of course, there's two in Washington. There's Seattle and Gonzaga. So he goes to Gonzaga. He gets his doctorate for, specifically he gets the part of his schooling that relates to his role in NASCAR now, which is the law aspect of him joining the rules committee as a lawyer. And so yeah, just understand that he got his formal education for that from a Jesuit university. Makes sense to us. And another thing about Gonzaga, I don't know if we've mentioned this before. I've certainly noticed it before, but in their emblem, it's pretty telling. You got the, let's see, should be big enough, but of course, you got the IHS in his service, they'll say, but there's multiple things, Isus Hominum Salvator or whatever. But if you look dead center there, it's pretty obvious they have it in the middle of this cross. Of course, the Templars, and we're talking about Skull and Bones today, as it's 322 today. I thought this was quite interesting, but they have the highlighted G similar to if you think about like Georgia and stuff like that. But anyway, it's just worth noting. Jesuit, if you guys don't know, they share in Masonry. They share the 32nd rank motto for Ad Merum Dei Gloriam. And if you guys are wondering, that's what this AMDG is. Their motto for their Jesuit schools is Ad Merum Dei Gloriam, as you can see right there. So there is a connection to Masonry there. They have the big G in the middle of their logo, in the middle of a cross, in the middle of this crest. Interesting picture too to look at and decipher too. And there's more to talk about there, but that's for a different time perhaps. But yeah, just worth mentioning if we have breezed over that, and in case anybody wants to do more digging, I know I will be, but it's definitely worth bringing up, especially with all these connections, and to realize that he's right there. In fact, he's probably more at the center of NASCAR than he has been since he was a driver, just because this stuff is not going to end. There's going to be more rules changes. I feel there's going to be more rules changes, and obviously we've highlighted previously that he was a centralized figure in for the media to ask about this whole lawsuit thing. And during the offseason, they were kept going to Chad Little as like their, he can't say much, of course, because it's an ongoing thing, just like Michael Jordan would never say much because it was an ongoing thing. But just point being is they are kind of keeping him on the sidelines in the spotlight, but on the side. Apart from, we talked about SVG driving the 97 now, and all these connections you're making with John Deere, and obviously the Kurt Busch connections and all these other things. But he's not just an ancillary character in all of this, and he's Jesuit educated. So it's a lot of the times, guys, it's not going to be the front and center person that is the actual, let's call them handlers, or the guys that keep the script moving. It's a guy who's a Jesuit lawyer in the background, but as him as, oh boy, he's a slick driver for the old John Deere. That's all everybody's going to think about him, not even realizing that he's a Jesuit lawyer or Jesuit educated lawyer. Somebody will clip that and be like, oh, he's not a Jesuit. But anyway. So yeah,
that's why he won 6 races in 95 and only 95, because April 5th, the day Kurt Cobain died, is 95th day of the year. The Jesuits are formed September 27th. I mean, 95 days up in the year. That's why he's only going to win 6 races in 95 and never going to win again. But his best finishing cup's going to come on 4 or 5, the 95th day of the year. So
great addition. Great point. Boom. So it's like.
And also Pat John Trison, if you write his full name, it's got the 97, the 4 cipher like Kurt Donald Cobain as well. Which is interesting, and like Chad Little's got that 97 in the end there, just like Kurt Donald Cobain as well.
Yes, sir. He's got the 223 too.
Yep.
Did you mention that? No, I don't know. But
I didn't mention the 223 now, but
it is interesting. Yeah, so this is a good point to kind of inject a little bit of the community into here. We've had an ongoing great emails from one of our viewers, Joseph, and just want to highlight another string of great ones. Let's see. Let's make sure I do them in the right order. Yeah. So he sends this to me or to us at 2:58 a.m. just for you guys time stamping them. Oh, that's really tiny. Might be a little bit skewed. I'll have to scroll. That's fine though. So he says, looking at the numbers now, I think because he had a couple of hunches, a lot of it, he had a couple good thoughts and points for the truck series and the Xfinity race. We were kind of going back and forth on some things, but as far as the Cup Series, he had, I can't remember who else he was spying, but it was really just one email with some stuff, and then this is what he sent. And I didn't get around to it until after the race was over because I checked emails right before or pretty much right before we started here. But anyway, he says, looking at the numbers now, I think Reddick will win today. Today is the 81st day of the year, and that's true as well. Another ritual number, but 9 times 9, Reddick should get his 9th win in the 45, which is an interesting connection, but who's to knock him? But I figured there's a good spot to mention that, to bring this up because of that secondary 223 connection there with Tryson. But he has 223 Cup races under his belt. 223 is a lot like 322 as far as dates go because you can write them both ways. A win for Reddick would make 4 out of 6. And this is an interesting one that I actually think probably definitely had something to play into it. But yeah, 4 out of 6 is 0.666. And, Reddick will often drive the monster car, and we all know what that logo's for. And so that's interesting for him in 23XI this year. One of the numbers I was looking at was 17. It's almost as if 23XI has 5 wins too, because Hamlin. One of the numbers I was looking at was 17. The 45 car could get win number 17. That's one of those things I've mentioned. I'm glad that he's doing. I'm not saying he never did it, but it's something I need to remember to do more often is look at the wins for a specific car, not just the driver. But he did, and that's great. Number 5 won Friday and 7 won last night. Reddick is racing for his 12th Cup win today, 5 + 7. So he's going more numerology route. And then that leads into, can I not do it? So this is later on. So that was the one that led to him kind of not switching, but being more cemented onto Tyler Reddick getting the win. Then he sends me another one. Says, did not get much sleep last night and still hold on to the number 203. Did a search on Derek's blog and found out that 203 is Yale's area code. Funny enough. And of course, we're talking about the 322 Skull and Bones. I say of course, but if there's anyone who's not clear on it, 322 is the main symbol, number, and symbol for Skull and Bones. Did a search on Dan Barron's blog and found out that 203 equals. Oh, dear God. Oops, damn it. North Carolina, Jordan's college team. 203 days in the future lands on 10/11, which mirrors today, which is, 284 days left, 81 first day, 284 days left, 81st day of the year versus the opposite. 203 is the 156 composite number, which I do try to look at the composite numbers. I just haven't noticed very many composites that match what I'm trying to, or what I'm looking for necessarily. 156 is the 119th composite number. Interesting. 911 is the 156 prime. This is where, personally, it seems a little, I don't want to say reachy or anything like that. The numbers do make connections and everything. It's just, if you were to say this to someone, I think it'd be hard to keep their attention, not their attention, but to keep them, to get them to buy into it. He's made a lot of great points, but this is all I'll say, a little waffly, but it's good nonetheless. 119th composite number, 911 is the 156 prime. They had Daryl. This is the interesting part, though. It's wrapped inside something that we've mentioned and expanded upon here at this point. They had Darrell Waltrip on. Fox today, date of birth 2/5/1947. Interestingly, he did mention the 45 days. Okay, shit. Never mind. He had it before I did. I somehow skimmed over that note. But 79 years old, like we talked about, 45 days or 28,900 days old, which is 170 times 170 which is 2 times 2 times 5 times 5 times 17 times 17, which is interesting in the way that it is. Those are all, prime numbers, and it is the first, third, and seventh prime. Like 137 is the 33rd prime. So you can see that he does a lot of numerology, and I think he's even admitted like he'll throw in question marks like that too, like kind of like, you feeling that or not? But I think it's still completely fine to run with the numerology, absolutely. And they do things, especially with date numerology. And yeah, the only thing I would say about it is it's kind of, it's a tough thing to follow. I mean, that's not to say that, not to take away from your previous point and even your points you're making here. Just some constructive criticism, if not even really a criticism. I can see where there's connections that you're making. It's just hard to relay the information. That's all. But yeah, he did have the 45 days, so that was not my catch at all. But yeah, great emails from Joseph as usual. He's had a lot of great emails. And that's just another string of them. So congrats, Joseph, for the call. And I guess you can chalk that one up to the community, which is cool to say. But yeah, keep them coming, dude.
Yeah, that was good stuff. And I forgot to mention too, even we were talking about, with Chad Little too, and all those connections, Greg Pollux and Mark Ripen. They you went to school at Mark Ripen. Mark Ripen went to school there too. So he's winning, the Super Bowl for Joe Gibbs, and Joe Gibbs is bringing his team, and then Mark Ripen's got his team with Greg Pollux, and they're all putting this together. You got NASCAR, wrestling, football, basketball, everything's just coming together to one. You got all these people and how they all, it's just how these people are just connected. It's unbelievable when you really look at it too. I mean, how deep it really goes. I mean, winning for Washington Redskins when he's going to Washington State with Chad Little, and then he's got a car for Chad Little and winning the Daytona and winning this and winning that and all this. And then, Jack Roush buying the team, and Jack Roush with the April 19th or April 19th, and then Chad Little's got the April 29th, and then Jack Roush basically. So Jack Roush actually he technically had a Pontiac. He's basically racing the Pontiac in '97. So very technically owned a Pontiac. So it's kind of interesting how even that came to be with, Ripon and Pollux and all those guys, and how it all came together. And you had Pontiac. You had Joe Gibbs go to Pontiac that year with Bobby Labonte and the Interstate Batteries Pontiac. So you had that that connection as well. So it's just amazing how they do it, how they set this stuff up, how it's all one, it's all connected. Just like how we had, like the Sean O'Hare thing. And even Sean O'Hare is last when he got released on April 3rd, 2004, which is interesting. 10 years after Kurt Cobain. I was surprised they didn't give him the 4 or 5, but he is born, like we said, exactly 4 years and 5 days after Kurt Cobain, perfectly. So it's a perfect fit there. And then he gets released on 4/3 of 2004. So basically and then the ritual they just did with Reddick with the championship and then Atlanta, and then that was Sean O'Hare's birthday, and then 10 years after Kurt Cobain and Kurt Busch wins the championship, you got Sean O'Hare getting released by the numbers. So it's all this stuff. Just it's NASCAR, Nirvana. It's Nirvana everything. Nirvana wrestling, Nirvana football. It's just Kurt Cobain's got his hands and feet and everything.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And so I guess before I forget, that secondary connection that I was mentioning is one that I do not think is whoops. So this is not the Gonzaga connection, but the Washington State University connection being the Delta Upsilon fraternity. You might have heard of this if you guys have done any kind of digging. There's a few prominent fraternities in this country that there's quite a few. There's a lot of them, but there's certain ones that are more predominant as far as like people who make it to the world stage, if you will. And I just want to point this out to you if you guys want to look at some of the people I'm mentioning that have kind of made it up to the world stage. And you guys, let me make it big. Look there. There's Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah.
And he's mentioned heavily by Zach and his channel, and for good reason, because the novel, I do owe some reads to these, I'm sure. At the very least, I need to like leech off of someone's Audible or something, and maybe listen to these books. As dorky as that sounds, I would much prefer to read things. It's just with the time I have to do research, I doubt I'd have time to sit down and read. But yeah, he's put out a lot. You would say he's done, disclosure or whatever. What's it called? It's like, what is it? It's a form of disclosure, 100%. And his family's not arbitrary too. I think it was his brother or whatever was a scientist with it's like weather control or something like that. Anyway, so yeah, just another Kurt to throw into the mix. And that's a Chad Little connection. I don't know if anyone's making Kurt Vonnegut Chad Little connections in 2026, but there you go. In case you were wondering, and it's like I said, it's not arbitrary. This is a very prominent fraternity in the U.S. They're the Wildcats, right?
I love it. Williams College too. Williams.
Great point. Yeah, that's where it was founded.
Williamstown. Look at that. Williams.
Yeah,
Nirvana.
I read that just earlier, and I didn't even make that connection. Yeah, that's a great point.
191 years ago, 191.
Yeah, and if you guys, 191, like
it's like 119. It's like 9/11 right in there.
What's the society? I can't remember what's 191 too. Anyway,
10 away from 201.
If you look into this, look into a lot of these major fraternities. It's like they're almost always Mason related to the Masons. And if you look into the start of this fraternity, it has to do with Masons. There was another one. It was actually mentioned on Zach's stream. I was tuning in. I just didn't have time to sit in the chat and like talk or join the chat about it, join the stream about it. But we mentioned earlier, we mentioned on our show the Orange Men. It was in relation to a ritual they did with Donald Trump, of course, because he's the Orange Man. He's the Orange Man. But the Orange Men was like a partial Masonic order, and it was formed because they were, I don't think it was out of debt, but they were like at war with like the mafia or some form of that, or some weird militia or something, a gang or whatever. And this order formed because they went to their Masonic chapters for help and they were turned down. So they like formed their own Masonic group called the Orange Men. And it's really hard to find. It's literally like one little bit of history about it. But there's all sorts of, if you guys do any kind of digging, look into the fraternities at these colleges, look into their foundings. It's just, even this one, Delta Upsilon, its founding, it burned, all the papers, the filings or the indexing of its founding burned up in a fire. So there is no true, like, you can't ever cement down when this actually started or who started or who was there, because it just happened to burn up in a fire, just like all the great, buildings. Speaking of Masons, we're talking about Washington. Seattle is one of the best examples of that. The Seattle fire of whatever year, completely razed the entire landscape in Seattle, completely masonry built buildings, and pretty clear signs of old world building on top of previous civilizations. But that all just burned to the ground, just like Portland, Oregon. They called it the Steel City. All of downtown just burnt. It's just brick and steel. Just wow. I'm like, how? I had to look it up. I'm like, how do they make brick? And then I was like, oh wow, they fire them in kilns at super high degree temperatures, and that's how they make them. So they obviously withstand high degrees. Okay, how do you make steel? Oh, it's an alloy of iron and graphite, whatever else it was, and it's fired at super high temperatures, built to withstand super high temperatures. I'm like, man, can jet fuel? Anyway, that rabbit hole just pretty much you end up at 9/11 no matter where you go nowadays. But yeah, much of the great cities in America's histories are marred by their subsequent great fires. And that's why I bring this up in this instance is just like another great example is the patent industry. The originals, every patent, even from the oldest thing you can think of, the oldest patent you can find is a reprint. And it is attributed to whoever they attribute it to because they don't know who it's attributed to, because that building, guess what? Burned down in a fire. It was called the X patent building because that's where all of the original patents for everything was. And this is talking all the old world technology. I'm sure that there was, I've seen things that there was, liquid engines and things of that nature. We've gone into at length about, hydro vehicles or the water fueled car and stuff like. Point being is these things are they can always just brush it aside saying there was a fire, and boom, there you go. That's all. That's as close as you're going to get to finding out the truth of the matter. But yeah, this fraternity is no different. But yeah, looking into the fraternities across the country, I know I've done a lot of looking into the black fraternities, especially regarding the Boule and Prince Hall Freemasonry, and that'll lead you down the rabbit hole to Jesse Jackson and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Farrakhan and fighting out. And I mean, those are the more like boisterous like voices, but then there's even the ones that were like involved in more so in politics or movements, I guess, back in what's that era called? Whatever. Point being is these fraternities are highly influential. They're just as maybe not just as important as Skull and Bones, but these things are all, there's crossover with all of these things, and there's chapters in almost every college. So just because Delta Epsilon was formed at one college or is Delta Epsilon is probably at it's at many different colleges, just like most fraternities. They'll have if there's a place for their chapter, they'll have one. But anyway, long slog on enough. But point being is we should add this into the idea of doing a Masonic super show is the fraternities, because that is directly tied into it, and it's clear. I can 100% prove it, but that would be for a different show, obviously. Sorry for that tirade, but it's always interesting.
Yeah, I was looking into we haven't brought really this up. I've talked about him being a lawyer and stuff, and him being still involved, and he's probably, honestly, when you look at he's probably the smartest maybe driver there ever was when you look at all the stuff he's tied to and how high up there he is and everything. I mean, everything about him is extremely interesting. Like, there's nothing about him that's not interesting. And yeah, I was looking into all that stuff before, and I just kind of forgot to mention, I was trying to look at the see if there's kind of any gematria in that stuff or what I could kind of find and stuff. But yeah, there's definitely, and I'm sure there's obviously more. There always is, and obviously we'll continue and keep looking into the research and keep finding things. But yeah, I just keep thinking on my wait, what do they have coming on April 29th or April with all this, especially with Michael Jordan? I mean, they're not wasting the 63 going on 63, born in 63. They're not wasting that. They're it's more prevalent than ever. So this is obviously going to play into that somehow, some way. Maybe in the month of April or after, or maybe even on that day. Maybe April 29th is going to be the day. I don't know.
Yeah, don't be surprised if to see a big name that's centered, maybe not centered, but at least probably not centered, because we know how these sacrifices work. It's rare. It's rarely the center that gets sacrificed, but that's someone that's orbiting these figures to kick the bucket. People might think that, oh, it wasn't Biffle enough. No, no, that's not how this works. If this thing is going to keep going at the pace it's going, it's going to require more, as it always does. Just look at the NFL, look at the NBA. These things just ramp up. They don't slow down, because it's not like a meter that's being filled. Oh, Biffle filled that much. We got a while till we got to kill enough. No. So don't be surprised to see
Michael Annett was the other guy. Michael Annett.
Annette. Yeah. And Michael Annett. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, he had
And that was 16 days for Biffle too, wasn't it? 16.
It's really weird too. You got Michael Jeffrey Jordan, and then you got Jeffrey Michael Gordon. Isn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Jeffrey Michael Gordon. That's kind of fucking funny. I don't know why I never thought about that. It sounds like you're like messing up the name, but it's just another name.
Wasn't it Michael Dwayne Annett too? Or am I remembering that right? Dwayne Annett? Like you have how like Dwayne's is like in the middle of like Mike Bliss. You got the Dwayne in there.
Wayne, close.
Or Wayne. Dwayne. It's gotta be there, it's gotta rhyme.
Yeah. His life was definitely waning. Oh yeah, we mentioned that he was born in '86 and everything. But yeah, that was a great point with the 63s, and of course you got Chad Little in 63rd year of life. You got Jordan just turning 63. These people, I'm sure, have been in rooms together before, but besides the courthouse. Interesting. He's worth 4.3 billion too, Michael Jordan. Interesting.
Ooh. That's nothing to do with NASCAR though. It's a random number.
And then also Kevin Durant just recently, just a couple nights ago, last night, or it was either last night or 2 nights ago. Might have been last night. Or either that or he went around on the circuit last night, but it was 2 nights ago. But he passed Michael Jordan on the scoring list. So a lot of changing of the guard activity going on in the NBA. Of course, we covered the Bam Adebayo thing and the SGA with the whole Wilt Chamberlain stuff. And I wonder how far they'll go with that. Like, how far will they let legends be? Because, like, God forbid somebody gets over 100, they wouldn't. Like that game would have to be like the day they do that. Maybe that's the day finally people will wake up. Maybe it's not going to be the Bam 83. Oh, God forbid he was 18 points shy of breaking Wilt Chamberlain's record. Say that out loud. Instead of saying he got 83, say he got 18 points less than breaking the scoring record. Like, that's fucking stupid. There's no way you can wrap your head around Bam Adebayo doing that. There's no way. Oh, yeah, because Bam, yeah, I want to see the one-on-one with prime Wilt and Bam Adebayo. If I'm going to stack anybody up to Wilt Chamberlain in his prime, I'm thinking, give me a second. Bam Adebayo, probably. That's who I want to. Yeah, right. Wilt would destroy him just physically, just based off, And Wilt Chamberlain was insane. Wilt Chamberlain was like a six-sport athlete. So it's like, yeah, he was tall. Yeah, he was like super long too. Like his wingspan was insanity. But he wasn't just like he's not like Wembenyama. He wasn't somebody who looks like you can just snap him like a twig. He was literally a freak. And there's a lot. You throw Wilt Chamberlain into the circus freak mix. And Andre the Giant, all these people that are like strangely, crazily built. It's not like Wilt Chamberlain was like looked weird. He was a giant. He was one of the. Put him up against a normal person. Stand me next to Wilt Chamberlain. I'll look like a little kid.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was just some normal being, especially at the time that he was doing it, because and that could be another episode too. We've actually touched on this actually. On this channel we've talked about the changing of people with as time passes and the shortening of the days. We've talked about a lot of cool theories, I guess you could say, but really they're not a theory to me. Anybody who's still calling like the shortening of time a theory, I don't know. I guess you're not paying attention. I guess you got it good. You just got to just be walking around chilling, I guess. I don't know how you can't notice, but anyway.
Yeah, it's like, how did you watch the race today and not think that was rigged? I mean, how many things were going against Reddick? I mean, you had the battery problems, and then the heating problems, and he was like too hot. Then he had to like use like a drain tube and like stick it out his car so like he could like stay cool from all that stuff. Then he runs in the back of Busher at like full speed, somehow doesn't damage his car. And even Jerry Mayfield, like I said in that podcast, was calling stuff out too. He's like, I've never seen anyone ever like lose a fender, not even have a fender on their car, and be faster and better that way. Like, how is that possible? Like, I mean, if you like, this NASCAR season has been absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they've been breaking records. Everything's been 45. It's been about 45, 54 every single week. I mean, nothing but that. It's just, and we're already, 7 races in if you include the Clash. I mean, so, I can't believe we're almost to April, and it's just we can't get off the same thing. We're still talking about the same thing every single week, showing the same things. I mean, the races have been just ridiculous. I mean, the 500. I mean, he didn't qualify well. He really didn't. I mean, he wasn't running up front. I mean, he only led the last lap. That was the only lap he led. So, he really didn't do anything there. Next week he was pretty good. Got wrecked multiple times, but somehow was somehow better and faster without a fender somehow. Then he goes on to win the road course, dominates there, wins. The last 2 weeks he did all right. He had an 8th and a 9th place finish. Got the 8 on 3-8, and he had 3 wins and an 8th, and then he got a 9th. So, yeah, now he got another win. So it's just, it's like when has there ever been such, like you said, it's a boring season? I mean, and they're trying to make it better. Oh, we're going back to the chase. We're gonna make it better. We're gonna go. It's gonna be like the Kurt Busch days. We're going back to the chase, and it's like it's even more boring and more rigged than last year ever was. It's like, now we're going to Martinsville, the NASCAR Nirvana at on 329, and then Bristol on the April 12th. So that'll be interesting. And just the fact there's no race on 4 or 5. You just got to wonder what that means and why. Taking that week off.
It's just a coincidence, man.
No, come
Stop
on, you
looking
keep
into
talking about the 4 or
it.
5 like it means something. Get out of here, bro.
Oh man, but
Bro, 4-5 and 9-5 together.
they're just
I
numbers.
can't connect the two, man. 4-5 and 9-5. What do those two have to do together? I can't figure it out.
Yeah, and what was I gonna say? I mean, of course, going into Martinsville, we talked about 201s and
That double 201 coming up.
Yeah, and not too long.
And then the Advent Health, yeah.
Yeah, right after that. Too.
Wow.
Great point. And yeah, it's going to be a nice little section of the season. Now, what I'm thinking too is like, what would they have to do to make this season worth it, or like to turn it around for the average fan? Like, what would they have to do? They would have to do some sort of like comeback / challenge, which more than likely they do plan on doing. They will have somebody close to his points by the end of the season. I don't think that he'll run away with it. As much as he's running away now, there's a reason why there's as many races as there are in a season. And I could see, with every rise, there's a fall too. So don't be surprised if Tyler Reddick's not even, the favorite going into the playoffs, although it's not that long. So when did we determine that the chase starts? We talked about it last week or the week before.
Usually it's always like September. It's around 9/11. It's around that time.
So yeah, there's still a good amount of races between now and then. So there's enough time to fall off 100%.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, don't be surprised if there's a whole nother narrative at play by the end. But like by saying that, I almost, it's like, it's kind of like, what's the point of this? And it's also like, obviously I'm being facetious. I understand the point of this. That's what we talked about every week since the season started. But this whole, I guess, to highlight the format and to, in my head, to make the format seem feasible, they would want a good showing. They would want the drivers to be high on it. And of course, their drivers are going to be more high on it than they were the win and in format, because there was nothing but dissension with that format last year. We've talked about this all the time. But I think that what this kind of signifies is that they're looking for the reason to make tweaks to the format. And so by having seasons like this and starts like this, and you're going to have fans push back, you might even have driver pushback eventually. It'll give them they'll say, look at this, we had to make a change. There's a glaring problem here, because otherwise I don't see why. I mean, I understand why, and apparently a lot of other people understand why, is that, it helps to, and of course it's very short-sighted for these commenters to think that it's because Jordan sued NASCAR. It's like, you think Jordan's like not going to drinks with Chad Little? You think he's just getting interviewed by Jamie Little? And you think that's an accident? You think that that's just a coincidence? You think they're at odds with each other? No, these people are not at odds with each other. And another thing I want to say is too, they've had this planned. So everybody talking about how this year, it's from the off season. No, look, Jordan's winning. No. They've had this plan long before then. Like I mentioned in the lead up to, there's a reason why they chose Reddick to make the playoffs last year with no wins. There's 100% the reason, and we're living it out right now. They had plans to build a star. We got to sit there and watch them build one last year, and they're building one this year. It's very clear, it's evident, and last year we were a lot better on on the star they built. Last year we were able to almost completely nail his ascension. And we'll see. Well, that remains to be seen what their plans for him this year. Other than, like we've said, being that specialist. I'm talking about SVG, of course. Him being that specialist that Tyler Reddick beat, and that very well could be the reason they built him up, is so Tyler Reddick can, rise above him and be the star for this new format and things of that nature. But anyway, yeah, I would assume that there's going to be changes on the horizon, and in saying that, Chad Little is going to be at the center of those changes. So keep 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 your head on a swivel. I'm not saying they'll switch formats entirely. I just think that they'll potentially change up the formats again, maybe even make it stages different, or scoring 4 stages different, or things of that nature. I'm
Maybe
not
they
sure
will
how,
go back to the Winston. Maybe they will just go back to that.
or that, and that'd be hilarious too if they ended up doing that, because then I'd only been a season off of my call. I thought they were going to go to the Winston this year. I just had in that. Well, what was it based off of? Oh yeah, the whole Winston Salem. There was good stuff. I can't remember what we were going with, but they ended up going for the chase. And this, keep in mind that we called them changing the format after they swore they weren't going to. they
At
literally
first they
said
said they were. At first they said they were gonna. Then they said they weren't gonna do it.
they're
And
absolutely
that's
not
when
going
I
to.
caught it. I'm like, well, they said they probably they were gonna, and they said, nah, we're not gonna do it. And then yeah, we actually are. We really are gonna do it.
Yep. So that was chalk another little mini call for, at least narrative wise, to it'd be nice to have much of a better finger on the pulse of the narrative of this season. Obviously, the narrative has been what it is. There's nothing to really break down. Well, I shouldn't say that. We've broken down a lot about it. Um, but as far as moving forward, it's kind of hard to track. Like I was saying before, it's like hard to track, but also like a little because it's so easy to track, it's hard. It's like, would they really? And yeah, they are. They just are. They just, they're just, you think they probably wouldn't, they wouldn't do, yeah, they will. And they're just going to do it. Tyler Reddick, 4-6. And here we are.
And
No.
I called it too. I said, what, he'll probably watch him go 4 for 5, and he ended up going 4 for 6. But I mean, you look at it, Toyota's got 5. They've gone 5 for 6.
And
Ford's
Hamlin is
won.
one of those wins.
Yep. I mean, that's basically, basically his teammate. It's his close thing to his teammate. So I mean, in a way, I was kind of right on that. So and then you go, you look at it the other way too. It's like, Ford's only got the 1 win, and 2 if you count the Clash. But what's interesting too is the 97 car is 17 wins in the Cup, and Kurt Busch got 14 of those wins.
Mm.
I'm thinking maybe for, I could see SVG winning at the Glen with that big Glen in there, the big Zach in there. But another race I'm thinking too, or maybe April 26th at Talladega. Maybe that's going to be the Chad Little tribute right there. It was 3 days before, but
Yeah.
he did really good at Daytona. He's been really good at those Stricter Plate tracks. It's been his best tracks besides the road course. So maybe that's where they're going to finally give him it, and then give him the
They
one
gotta
to
get him
Glen
off
2
the
weeks
snide.
later.
Yeah. I would assume so too. I'm right there with you. Obviously, we've kind of come to these conclusions together on these things. It's most of it being last year or last season, but still, I'm still there with it. I do think that, they built this character to use him. Like he will be used. I don't think he was a one season and done character. Obviously, he had a pretty good race at the Coda, but and that being said, too, there's a few others that we've talked about that I do still see the light for, like Ty Gibbs. I think that he potentially gets off the schneid this season.
Yeah, he's
Or
been
has a
really
breakout.
consistent too. Like if this is
He's been
the Winston
pulling it
Cup,
too.
this is the Winston Cup, he'd be right there at Reddick because he's top 5 and top 10 in every week.
Let's definitely take a look here. You do this every week, and I almost forgot. Wait. So now him and Jordan have the picture with them holding up the 4. Interesting.
So I was thinking too. Yeah.
It's not like it's a thumbnail from a couple weeks ago. We haven't thought about that at all. Where is he? Yeah, sitting at 11th. He didn't have the greatest race this week, but yeah, right there. He's in. It's the top 16, right? Yeah. Yeah, top 16. Ty Gibbs is doing good. Blaney's doing good, especially with that late part of the race today. And I'm getting 3rd place out of the field. Knocked off Bubba. Of course, you know, Bubba's boss keeps just knocking him off. I mean, we talked about this last year, especially surrounding that whole race where Bubba was like cussing out Denny Hamlin post race and all that. And there was the one where he was like cussing him out. And then I think we played that entire interview just because it's so funny listening to him talk. It's just so funny. But I just can't look at the man. I think that's what he said. So funny the way he said it. But anyway, yeah, I mean, when we put Denny Hamlin as narrative wise, I feel like we have scoped out these characters like so well to give ourselves a standing and a basis for where they're going with the narrative. Last year worked out for us really well. This year it's been kind of choppy, whatever. But still, Denny Hamlin, like the way he just keeps crashing Bubba Wallace, it's like it's so clear that he's a like a gatekeeper. He is a script. He's a director out there on the track. He's not just. I mean, then of course, look at last season. He almost wins the whole thing. On top of that, his dad dies right after that. It's just like, come on. And then of course his win was a complete tribute to his father's passing, which unfortunately we missed. But oh man, I got something in my eye. Sorry. Ah, there we go. Yeah. So yeah, he just keeps crashing Bubba, and they're right there in the standings together. It's just you can see that they're kind of like keeping the playbook in order. No Henrik in the top 5. I'm sure that will potentially change. We talked about Chase Elliott and potentially Chase Briscoe having really good seasons. Just the joke, of course, being the Chase format, and that remains to be seen. But Elliott's doing good. Sitting 5th. Oh yeah, did I mention? I think I'm. Did I mention how? Yeah, I think I mentioned that our favorites this week were one of the Biffle tribute cars. Yeah, yeah. Still, that stings. It's just like so annoying, especially after last season where still bothers me the whole Blaney thing, and of course Blaney's second in this race too. So it's just like fuck, can't forget. They won't let us forget. Oh, it says right here too. Top 16 drivers. Okay. After race 26. Interesting. George.
16 drivers, 16. Yeah. 16 biffles.
Yes, sir.
We got Blaney too, 95 points back.
Saw that.
54 stage points.
Interesting. I mean, he'd be an obvious choice for like a rivalry too.
Yeah,
or like a close showdown, I should say. But it's early, and there's still the Christopher Bells, there's the William Byrons. We still got to pay attention to what good old Bill Lee's doing every week.
Joey Logano will get a win sometime.
Seems inevitable, certain things for sure. Shane's just hanging in there. Carson Hosever is doing it. He had a throwback car with who was he doing the throwback for?
Earnhardt.
Yeah, that's right. The
Wrangler.
Yeah. And he even had the whole like get up for it too. But anyway. Yeah, that's what a shame. It's just that just goes to show you like the modernizing of everything. I mean, meanwhile, what I mean by that, sorry to just if that's abrupt and I was about to move off. I do that a lot. But just the fact that not every car has to not necessarily has to, but it's like that so many don't participate in the throwback. Like that's how boring, how stupid. It's not a money issue. It's like, geez, do it.
And it's not like every car was ever going to do it all the time, but the last 10 years, it's been something where a lot of, most teams do participate in it. So it's like, yeah, Zane Smith and his Elliott Sadler one was pretty good too. The 2000. I mean, I didn't see really anything, and like I said, the O'Reillys. I know the trucks had, like I said, Darrell Waltrip's at the 17, and there was the 33 of Dave Blaney and the 93. That was a pretty good one. Yeah, but probably for Cup, Zane Smith and the 38 had the best one of Elliott Sadler. That was a good scheme, but other than that, really, got 19th.
I didn't mind the who was it? Was it Keselowski in the like the less sharp biffle scheme? Because all RFK did a biffle scheme.
Yeah.
I think it was Keselowski. I think I liked his. I like that. That looked cool. And then yeah, it was confusing for me because I had seen previous ones, and so I was sitting there trying to decipher all the cars. I'm like, I have no idea what sponsor they had. I was like sitting there with my son saying, looking at all the cars, thinking that they were all throwbacks. So I was like, I don't know what this is for. I can't tell you. It's like I was thinking I was going to know a bunch of the throwbacks by their old like color schemes and things of that nature. I'll be like, oh, that's Coors. Oh, that's that's Motorcraft or whatever, whatever old companies they were. But I was like, I cannot figure out any of these. And no wonder none of them did it. I was sitting there looking for gold, and I don't know, just it was pretty funny. Wasted a lot of my time just sitting there looking for something that didn't exist. But
yeah, even for me, I mean, I should have been easily picking a lot of these out and be able to figure a lot of. I don't even know. I didn't really see, like I said, really anything that I haven't seen really with the O'Reilly series. There was a decent amount of trucks. 2 or 3 of them had the good paint schemes, and only really 2 in the Cup. So besides the Biffle one, so yeah, there really wasn't barely anyone doing anything. So yeah, it's a big disappointment.
Very interesting that they would go that route. It seems really cool because like as I was looking up, basically I was trying to search what Tyler Reddick's throwback scheme was because I didn't know he wasn't doing it. I was like, what is this? What is this a throwback to? And I couldn't find it anywhere. But in doing so, I was finding a bunch from like last year and the year before, and like they all look really sick. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. It's way cooler than just like ads on the cars. Oh, that's what I was going to start going off about. Like, I don't know if you've noticed, but in like basketball, more and more before our time is up, people's jerseys and stuff of that nature is just going to be, it's going to all look like NASCAR. It's just going to be ads all over it. I mean, for my entire life, there were no ads on NBA jerseys. Zero ads, zero. And now it's just like patch here, patch there, the front of it. Now it's, because they're all bought by, or the stadiums are, you know, uh, brand stadiums, the stadium logos on it. It's like, what team is this? With it, before you know it, it's just like the color scheme of the team will just be the brand, almost like NASCAR does. And for someone like NASCAR to not kind of like to have that already and not like lean into to doing that, it was so funny too. In the what I found is that I don't think I would, in another life or a past life, I doubt I could be a very good like NASCAR fan. Like, I'm not into the idea of like following a car or a manufacturing company. But so many of NASCAR fans are. They're like, oh damn, Ford really came out with these cars, and Ford. I'm like, bro, Ford? Like, that's why you watch this, is because you're a Ford fan? It's like, and I'm okay with like being a fan enough. I like being a car fan. In saying that, you do kind of become a fan of the manufacturer if they're manufacturing something that you like or use. But I think there's a limit to it, and that's I'm talking about what you drive, not necessarily like, hollering at a screen because the guy turning left is driving the thing you like. I wouldn't be very good in that. Just reading some of the comments, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is, I don't know. It's like I almost rather people just fanboy over the person driving than not that I wish they would fanboy over any of them, but if they're going to, it's weird that they're not fans of the drivers as much as they are of the manufacturers and cars and stuff like that. It's interesting.
Yeah, and we were kind of talking about that, I think last week or the week before, how it's like, sometimes it's like the driver, sometimes it's like the car, sometimes it's like the manufacturer, sometimes it's like the sponsor, sometimes it's the number. It's interesting. It's like you look at like Chad Little and Kurt Busch. It's like people look at the '97. It's like with Kurt Busch, it's like the Sharpie, maybe like the Sharpie car, just the fact he won races and the championship, and that was his best he ever did was with Roush the '97, or people like Chad Little, or they like the John Deere car, they like maybe that time of NASCAR better. So it's like um it is interesting how they do it. It's like I remember like like with like Bobby Labonte and like Interstate and like Pontiac and stuff. Like some people like the car. Like I always preferred that look. Like the John Deere car looked good on the Pontiac. It looked great on the Pontiac. It looked great on the Thunderbird. It even looked great on the Taurus. But like you look at like Interstate batteries, like it always looked best on the Pontiac. It didn't look as good on the Chevy
Yeah.
in 95, 96, and then 03, 04, 05, and after that, it didn't. It was made for the Pontiac, but like John Deere, like that paint scheme was able to like transcend the manufacturer. Like it didn't matter what manufacturer it was going to look good, whether it's the Pontiac or the Thunderbird, the Taurus, versus certain other things. Um and sometimes too, it's like because like I like the 2002 like Joe Gibbs cars, like Bobby Labonte and Tony Stewart, the way the Grand Prix looked that year. Bobby's paint scheme, Tony's paint scheme, and that's another thing too, is you can always tell like that's when Stenhouse did the throwback in the 17.
Oh, he's done one. Oh, sick.
Yeah, that was back in 2018 when he did that.
Kurt Busch, Chad Little. Bunch of old articles, unfortunately. There's the Stenhouse one. Kind of was looking for the older versions, but I'll just type in Pontiacs. There we go. That thing. Grand Prix.
Grand Prix.
It's so funny that these cars do not translate to to personal vehicles. They're some of the ugliest consumer cars. Absolutely, hands down, the ugly. A Ford Taurus. Probably you're not rocking that Ford Taurus the way you think you're rocking that Ford Taurus. That Pontiac Grand Prix is just not hitting like it does on the NASCAR track, bro. Those things are hideous. I ain't gonna lie. Of course, these are kitted out differently on for NASCAR, and if only they were kitted this way for consumer vehicles, they would look sick. Pontiac Grand Prix are some of the for whatever reason they must be great cars because those things are still all over the streets. Pontiac
Like I
Grand
said,
Prix
my Pontiac that I had, that was the best car I ever had.
I
That
would
thing looked
assume.
super cool. Yeah.
I give it up to Ford Tauruses too because
Yeah.
only recently have I stopped seeing Ford Tauruses as often. So yeah, give it up to those cars, but man, they're butt ugly, unfortunately.
Well, I still see Thunderbirds too. The Thunderbird, I still see that. The Taurus, the Grand Prix, the Grand Am.
Yeah, I'll appreciate a Thunderbird, but they had a 2005 Thunderbird. That sounds weird. And again, see, I would rock this. What is this? What year is this one? This is just gonna get into a weird episode. What year is that? A 90 or around a 90? Yeah, I would rock that. That car's slick. See, I don't mind boxy cars and stuff like that. And I guess I should say that too. Like, there's different versions, obviously, of like the Ford Taurus, but like that little nasty round piece of garbage, which is it makes enough sense that a Taurus would be round. It's the shape of or whatever it's called, a Taurus. Is it not just a Taurus?
Yeah, it's a Taurus.
It makes like the shape is round, but of course I do know that they have like a newer one with poor things. But yeah, these are really just elderly vehicles. I didn't even know they brought this is like the standard one I'll see all the time. This thing is just absolute garbage to look at. I'm sorry, but that thing is just asking to meet a wrecking ball. Oh yeah, no, I'm tripping. I knew they remade the Taurus. I've seen this before. Not the wagon too. Oh, get it out of here. Maybe I'd have a different appreciation for it. See, this one's not that bad. This one's not that bad. Little V6 in this thing too. It's probably zippy. I think yeah, they all have V6s, but I'm just
horsepower. That thing's hauling.
Yeah. Is this like some? I don't know what that just said, but I probably just allowed them access to my innermost files on my computer. No, this is a lot car. Damn. So yeah, maybe there was something to that. Just coming standard V6 anyway, but so that's pretty cool. I think the Grand Prix were too, aren't the Grand Prix V6s?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah, the 3.8. That's one of the best motors ever made.
What year Grand Prix did you have?
I had a 2002 Grand Am GT1.
Oh, Grand Am.
It was yeah.
Oh, see, these aren't nearly as bad. Yeah, I see these all the time. Yeah, these aren't the ones I'm clamoring on about.
Yeah, I had the fanciest version of that. I had the GT1 with the hood scoops, the leather seats, tinted windows, sunroof. Yeah, those like all base models.
Yeah, I'm trying to find.
Mine was almost like a special edition. It even had like remote start and everything. It was like super cool. Because the 2002 Grand Prix GTP is the 40th They have the 40th anniversary special edition of that one too. I actually almost bought that one of those too, a 2002 special edition Grand Prix.
There's maybe this one. This one does have the
Yeah,
sun.
mine was 4 doors too. Yeah, that one doesn't have like any of the stuff
Okay.
mine had. Mine had the all 4 windows were tinted. I had the sunroof, the hood scoops on the hood, all leather seats, leather interior.
Oh man,
Mine was super like no one's car looked as cool as mine. Like mine looked
what's
really good.
this? Why am I scrolling down and seeing this? All right, I'm not. I can't do it. There's a rabbit hole there. I'm not sure what that was all about. Of course, there was this curbside something CC right as their emblem, like 33. Anyway, just give me the Carfax. That's all I want. Of course, I haven't had that great of cars in my lifetime. My best car was a '98 Subaru Impreza hatchback. But what was cool about it is that I lived with some Subaru heads, and we were customizing it pretty cool, and like we did engine work on it. So I had like of course it's a 4-cylinder, but and it's not like I was swapping to a 6-cylinder or anything, but we took the heads off of the Outbacks, which have like higher compression, and put them onto the 2.2 liter that I had. So that my car was it had some oomph. It was pretty fun to drive, but yeah, it got stolen and parked and towed. Unfortunately, that was my baby. I still have parts for it that I've been having to just take from. I mean, I'm talking like over 10 years ago. I still have like uh, I have coilovers for it and a bunch of stuff that I plan on doing for it. But before that, my my car I rocked was speaking of. Did I mention that I had the Dodge Neon the other
Yeah,
day?
I talked about this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had like this kind. Only it was purple. I can't find the color for whatever reason. I've looked everywhere. I cannot find the color I had, and it wasn't a painted neon, so it was off the lot. But I can't find it anyway. The Dodge Neon, and then I had my first car ever, Kia Sophia, which they don't make them anymore, but the shit was sick. Out of 2001, so something like that. But yeah, it was a zippy little thing. It was a piece of garbage. It is a piece of garbage. Little 4-cylinder, nothing to call home about. But I guess what I should say is I sped a lot in it, and it worked for me. Hitting the gas made it go.
Yeah, that's the same motor I got in the Corolla, the 1.8.
Yeah, it's a reliable thing. Those things
Yeah.
last a long time if you take care of them, especially in the Toyotas. Toyotas have really good blocks, really good engines.
Yeah,
Camrys are
Honda's
well.
got the best motors in the world. They got the
That's true.
1.82 and the 1.7, and the Honda will give you better gas mileage too.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, I know our Accord has been great and keeps being great. And I've known people that had Civics for, I mean, still to this day, older Accords and Civic just dominate uh, the roads. Maybe not dominate, but I mean, you see them all the time. Those things still cruising, no problem. And that'll probably be like when we're a bit older, those will still be driving around, and it'll be like the Buicks. The Honda Civics will be like a
Yeah,
Buick nowadays. Like we think of Buicks as just these old things. It's like, how are they still sputtering around? But yeah, it'll be a. I remember my brother's first car was a Buick LeSabre, a '77 Buick LeSabre. That thing was massive. It took our entire driveway. When I was teasing him, I'd be like, he'd say he's going somewhere. I was like, really? Has it rained? Has it been raining for a week straight? He's like, huh? I'd be like, how are you getting that boat out of the driveway? That thing was huge. I just called it a boat. But one thing I'll say about that damn car, it was what was that, cast iron, or not cast iron, but a steel frame and everything. Those things were like mean. I don't see anything hit anything on the road today. If you have a 10-mile-an-hour collision with that car, you're totaling your car, and it's not even going to make a dent on that car. Funnily enough, even talking about relatively newer uh, Hondas, and I say relatively because mine's a '07. It's not even some fancy new one, thankfully, because I got hit by a lady when I was backing out of a parking spot at my job, and she was on her phone. Stupid lady too, because I got it, like, even like I noticed I got hit. I pulled in, and then I went out to like see what happened and who it was and everything, and she still had her phone in her hand, like talking on her phone. She didn't even put her phone down. It's like, God damn. But yeah, dude, her car looked totaled. She hit me going like 10 miles an hour in the parking lot. And her car's just like totaled. Her whole like headlight is just hanging off. And I don't know if you've seen our Honda or you remember, but I still have that dent on the back bumper. And it's still there. I should have fixed it a long time ago, but I'm lazy. But yeah, it's like a little dent on my car and her car is totaled. It's just like, and then mine's an '07, but she was driving like a 2020 something. I think a Kia of some sort. But anyway, car talk. It's a NASCAR episode. What do you expect?
Yeah, those old
Yeah,
cars are, I mean, just unstoppable. Like I said, that 2002 Pontiac I had was just, it was just unstoppable. I mean, that 3.4, 3.8, some of the best motors ever built, and even the cars, like everything still worked, like 400,000 miles, and the sunroof still working. The hood scoop still look good. The tinted windows are still good. The leather seats and leather interior are still good. You know what I mean? It's like everything back then was just built better, just built with quality. Everything was built to last. Well, like I said, you still see all those cars and still see Thunderbirds, Tauruses, uh, Grand Ams, Grand Prix. You still see all those cars because they're 100 times better than all the crap being built today. I mean, and what you can work on them, they're easy to work on and to fix and get to do stuff. I mean, it's compared to all the crap today. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, even the car I got now, I mean, it's over half my life ago already. It's crazy. 2010, and the other Corolla I had, 2005. This is the 2010, and um, yeah, all these new cars, all this new crap. It just none of it's any good, and that's the thing. I mean, you could, you know, say what you want about all these cars, the Taurus, ever, but I mean, I'd rather take that than anything new today because at least I know that thing's gonna get me where it's going. But that was
yeah,
just the thing. That's the thing. That's just how life was. I mean, everything was built that way. I mean, whether you liked it or not. I mean, just things they were built to last. They were built to get you where you needed to go. They were built to be worked on, and um, no matter what car you picked or how cool it looked or whatever, it was going to be. I had four Pontiacs, and the thing was the best car. The best car I ever had was my oldest, 2002. I had a 2004 Grand Am. Um, I had my sister's like 2006 Grand Prix for a few weeks. I had a 2008 G5, and uh, which is basically a Cobalt, but I don't really like the Cobalt or G5, but like I could just see how bad, like after 2002, like the 2004 was and I had like the same car, but it wasn't a GT1. It wasn't as nice as the red one, and it was just nowhere near as good. The white one I had 2004, the first one, it was better than like the Grand Prix and like um the G5 and stuff, but like even my 2005 Corolla, I mean that thing didn't last anywhere as near as good as my Pontiac was, and we'll see how far this one goes, see what happens to this one, but even this, it's like, man, I can already see the difference, how bad things fell away in such a short amount of time, and um that's amazing. That's the thing about us, we're lucky we're as old as we are because we got to actually drive and be a part of
yep.
the good old days, the good old stuff. These younger people, they missed all that, so they don't know what that was or what that was like, and they didn't get to have those kind of cars and memories and be able to do stuff. Now they can barely find those things. They're all rusted out, rotted out. They're in the junkyards, or you got to get something new, something up to date. So it The car, yeah, it's all the, back then too, you had all, like you said, all the good paint schemes too, and paint jobs. Everything's so boring and dull. Everything used to have these.
Black, blue, and gray and white. That's their options now. It's just like, bruh. Not even fun blue. It's just dark blue, navy blue, black, gray, and white. Like that's the
Yep.
only cars I see on the road. It's just look like Tesla colors are the only cars that exist. But
Yeah.
It's
It's awful. Like, what happened? Like, there used to be so many cool colors and designs. Now it's just dull, gray, boring, just blank. It's like, how do you live like that? I just just try it around. Like, it just makes me sick. Makes me want to puke. Just like looking how just like boring and dull and stale society's just become. It's like, it's just gross. It's just it's awful.
yeah, and you were mentioning like the longevity of these cars too. And I worked at AutoZone for quite a few years. And let me tell you, if you go and look for financing for a car, they're going to push a Kia on you so quick. They're going to push a Kia, or what's another one that they might push? Honestly, Subaru is going downhill as far as like, anyway, I think every car company is because they're following these new guidelines. And you also mentioned the paint colors. I'll tell you why. It's because people don't want to pay a higher premium for insurance, and that's a stupid thing. Like colors affect your insurance premiums. It's stupid as hell. But
Yeah, that's what I always heard. I heard that red was like the most
yep,
expensive color, and that's what
absolutely.
I heard. And I had a red car, and I had two white cars. No, I had three
It
white
depends.
cars and three red cars, three white, three red. But I asked my insurance guy about that too, and I asked him like, because my car is red, does that mean that it's more? He's like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, wait, so it doesn't matter? I'm like, I don't understand that, because I was told that it always did affect it. It made it more, but he says it's not, or it doesn't. So
Well, there's
I don't know.
multiple factors. I do think it has to clear a certain ratio for being defined a sports car as well. So
Yeah, probably.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, having worked I did commercial driving, which had me, taking calls for, commercial accounts and befriending commercial accounts and garages and stuff like that. Kias are made for garages. They are made to fuel garages and keep mechanics in working. Those things are made to fail 100%, but they will sell you a brand new car. Like coming up, people are going to think like a brand new car. Like that's the best thing you could do to get something brand new, your year. This like it's 2026. I'm getting a 2026 car. It's going to be 2050 by the time no, you're going to need a new car in a couple of years or less, because I'm like how many transmission rebuild kits we had to stock them. We didn't stock, those are always special orders. We stocked um, a lot of newer Fords and Kia transmission rebuild kits because they just go out. Like, who can afford to get a transmission changed on a brand new car within the first couple of years of buying it? Like, that's insane. That's going to be thousands of dollars out of your pocket. It's insanity. And those things are made to fail, and then good luck in a collision. You're totaling your car. The car is made to be totaled. By the way, all new cars are made to be totaled. They're made to be to turn to nothing for your safety. It's all for your safety. It's so that they'll just crinkle and crunch, and but you'll be fine. But your wallet won't. But I think it's these things are all under the guise of safety, and it's every aspect of our lives. They'll trick us. Wear 6 masks. Same. It's all under the same umbrella, and I've gotten to see. I've been able to see firsthand the scam of the automotive industry working at AutoZone. It's not just working at AutoZone. If you just go there and you're a retail employee, you're probably not going to notice these things as in depth. But like I said, I befriended a bunch of shops and just doing commercial driving and commercial accounts, and yeah, it's fucked. It's one of those things. Like I was talking about the ADT salesman. It's one of those things that you have no idea you're getting got daily. You know what I mean? It's like it's crazy. But the one good thing about this is once you're befriending a shop, they won't get it over on you because it's almost like you join the mafia. It feels like that because it's like their secret. Their secret is that they're scammers. They're scamming 90% of the people, and it's not like most of the people I saw were scamming was so that they had any kind of overhead because they were working cheaper than the or they were taking in less money than a paid mechanic for a dealership. And so you can understand that they don't have the overhead of $1 billion company that's paying for these parts. So they all skim here and there in order to make the most. But a lot of times they'll get the lesser product for you. I say a lot of the times, but almost every time they will get the cheapest, lesser product. Not to mention they pocket the warranties on all these things, and then they scam the warranties. So the warranties are only supposed to go for the part that you change, but they'll take the part off a different car that's the same part. So say two Ford Explorers come in and they both need a CV axle. They'll do a straight up transaction for one CV axle, and then they'll come in with another CV axle and say, oh, it was the same one, it had a default. And they'll get a new CV axle for the next one. So they'll only have to pay for the one CV axle, and as long as they keep that warranty, they'll be able to change infinite CV axles for nothing. So, but there's a lot of scams that go along with the automotive industry nowadays, and like everything, like a lot of other things, and it's tied in with the insurance companies. I've seen that firsthand because I did do commercial accounts for automotive shops that were affiliated with were more like dealership shops, and yeah, they're also they're still scamming too. So yeah, these new cars are, like you said perfectly, they're not built to last, and in fact they're built to fail. It's not even that they're not like they're deficient, they're efficiently deficient. They're made to be deficient, and it's so crazy that you're tricking all these people that go into debt to get a new car when they should really be looking for those diamonds in the rough that are still kicking around, like the ones we've mentioned, especially Hondas, especially 2000s or maybe even a little bit earlier, Camrys, Accords, Corollas, Civics, and like even you mentioned and kind of brought to light for me, the Grand Ams, the Grand Prix, and the things of that nature. Maybe even a Taurus.
Yeah.
If you could stand looking at yourself in the mirror driving one of them. I'm just kidding. I gave it a lot of grief.
Just pull a Chad Little and do the Thunderbird.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's why they had that. What was that? The cash for clunkers too. When they had that, that's one of the things they did too to get the old reliable good cars off the streets. Because if you got a brand new 2002 or a brand new 2000 or 99 or 97 or 95 or something, that thing could go 400,000 miles. I mean, I could have bought a brand new 2002, and it could have been worth every penny, and it could have went 400,000 miles. Because it was 2002. That's the thing back then. Now you buy a brand new car, you're lucky if it goes 40,000. So you're lucky if you get a tenth of what you did back then. But by the time you got to 40,000, you already put 20 grand in of maintenance, and 40,000 miles were the other way around. All you'd have to do is change tires and put gas in, and maybe change the brakes or something. That's about it. I mean, just basic maintenance, gas, brakes, tires, that type of thing, versus what you have to do today to maintain something, take care of something, or fix something, or if you can even work on it at all. Most things you can't work on at all because all the technology and computers and stuff, and got to have a $10,000, $20,000 scan tool that costs as much as the parts and almost as much as the car does itself.
100%. Yeah, these cars they're specifically not made for you to work on it. I'm telling you. They'll open up the hood, look at the manuals. They all say, take it to dealership. Your radio doesn't start, take it to the dealership. Your battery's malfunctioning, take it to the dealership. Take it to the deal, take it to the like, where's the explanation on how to work on your product? It's just like it's ridiculous. Like back in the day when they would sell like what's now considered like antique watches. This is going way back in the day, but like think of things that are like made to stand the test of time. Of course, there was watchsmiths and things of that nature, but there was a reasonable expectation that you could work on a watch, that you knew how to oil the gears, because you're not going to take it to the watchsmith every 4 months to have your gears oiled so that your watch was correct. You were expected to know certain things. You were expected to have little tools to work on your watch, your pocket watch, or things of that nature. I know that seems like a little off the wall, but it's the idea that you back in the day there was a reasonable expectation that you knew how to work on your vehicle, the basics. And for a lot of people, they inherently, or through family members knowing how to work on cars, they would learn how to do not just the basics, but even some more than basics. Like maybe potentially how to change out an axle or your brakes. Like your brakes back in my day, your brakes was not a take to shop thing. It was go to the store and buy brake pads or rotors, and you replace, or drums, and you replace them. Like you knew how to depress your brake lines. Nowadays, even I would be a little bit worried to do that, just firsthand, because I've only done it one time. I've changed my brake pads, but as far as like fully doing the rotors and stuff, even I'm not super confident in doing so. I've only ever had to do it one time, and that was with help. The only reason I say that is because you can mess things up pretty badly with your brake systems if you don't bleed your lines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not too hard. Watch a YouTube video. Seriously, most of these things, it's like we're spoiled with all the information being at our fingertips. But even then, people won't even go out of their comfort zone to try to figure these things out. The only issue we've had with the Honda was the VTEC solenoid, and I was like, I wasn't taking it to a shop. I was like, first of all, I having worked at AutoZone, I knew the part was reasonably priced, and I would go online to see how much it would cost. It's like fucking thousands of dollars to work on this thing, bro. It's this little thing at the back of the motor. It took me like 20 minutes. It's just like, bro, that you are going to get scammed out of your house and home with these new cars, because honestly, you can't work on them. You don't have the digital technology to work on them. They make them impossible to work on. Yeah, you can probably still do your axles and things of that nature, but good luck when you have to go change out sensors that are attached to your actual computer inside of your car, and then all of a sudden you change a sensor out and you go to start your car and there's a warning error. It's like you turn your key and there's an error. Like, bro, what is happening with this world? The convenience is tricking us. The convenience is the absolute opposite. And we only realize it in this soft world that we're in, that we don't realize it, that in the soft world we're living in, that the convenience is actually the killer. As soon as it's not convenient, we're not going to know shit. As soon as things go south, we're not going to know a single thing. Zach talks about it all the time because he knows what's coming. He's mapped out what's coming. Maybe not to the day or anything. No, it's no one's job to do that. It's our job to be prepared, which is what he preaches. But yeah, it's going to be rough, and that's why it's from our standpoint, it's really rough trying to find a world and breed into this world to rely on those around you, because for the most part, the masses are in so hard in the convenience that they're not wanting to break out of it. And so they're not going to want to learn when the grid goes down. They're going to want to take, because they don't know how to do shit with they're going to want what you got, because they know that works. And that's they show you it in the movies, and that's what they're building towards. Oh, by the way, how do you like my shirt? I actually got two different shirts. The next one will be a reveal later on, but it's the AC Delco car, Daytona champion.
Oh, no, did you just get that, or did you have that?
Yeah, no, I just got that last week.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I remember the AC Delco.
Yeah, the 53.
Is that the new one or is that old?
It's an older one. Let me see if I can read it. Oh, it doesn't say. It was in the chase format, but Chase Daytona champion. So I guess if we look back, the 53 car. 53 Daytona. You know, it's funny. I looked up trying to figure out the car, and I just put in 53. So I thought I was talking about the 1953, and it was Cotton Owens. That's very interesting. Huh. Maybe it's just a off the wall car. Maybe it doesn't even.
Yeah, but they just made it for the shirt.
Yeah, it says Richie Petty drove a number 53. The nephew of Richard Petty. Yeah, maybe they just made it for the shirt. I got it's a I bought it at a street vendor in Japan. Thought it was real. I don't even know how else to look these things up. At Elliott International Speedway. New rabbit hole. I have no idea. It might just be off the wall of a shirt. I'll do some more digging to see if I can find out because I haven't read the whole thing.
The mystery driver.
Just
the
wait.
ghost driver. We're just gonna make a car. It's no one's car, but we're just gonna sell it.
Why they put the? It might just be. It might just be like AI or some shit.
It's an AI driver.
Because I thought
you think NASCAR's bored now? Wait till we get the AI driver next.
Yeah, it might not even be AC Delco. It might just be like what it looks like. Yeah, I don't think so. I think this is just like it kind of looks like some stuff. Put it all on there. Either way, I bought a NASCAR shirt. All right, it's close enough. Yeah, it definitely like does not exist. Maybe it's like a Mandela effect. You don't remember when the 53 took Daytona? Well, what 53? No, it happened, I swear. I have a memorabilia shirt that proves it. The cornucopia is on, it's a Hanes shirt and there's a cornucopia on it.
It's a great way to mess people too. The best people that know NASCAR know the sport. Oh, I know all of it. You remember this one?
Oh, no, yeah, you got this shirt? You got this sick memorabilia? You remember this? And they'd be like, oh, yeah, I remember that. This is big time. Just be like, it's fake. Oh, shit. But I do have another one that's more, it's not a NASCAR shirt, but it is a sponsor of NASCAR shirt, a prominent sponsor. So if they ever pick up a race, I'll wear it for sure. But yeah, dude. Just I'll say my little piece here and then we'll close up. But just wanted my piece being another shout out to the emailers and of course the Legal Smiles had a lot more emails and comments. Hopefully you guys have caught his decodes in the comments. He does tend to leave the decodes in there so they're in a public forum so people can see them, and I appreciate that a lot. He said some great additions, and obviously I highlighted Joseph's, which was nailing the winner. So congrats to you, and thank you for being a part of the group. And it feels like we won when you win, so that was awesome. Hopefully, it feels like you win when we call one. But yeah, just it's cool to see that people are contributing in that way, and that was really awesome. And yeah, so shout out to you guys, and shout out to the people that give us the gusto to come back every week and do the show. And for those who are more in favor of the non-sports stuff, those will happen. It's going to take a little bit of planning, but those things are happening in the background. I'm always compiling more information on certain topics we've been talking about. So at the very least, even if it happens to be that I have a more a different set of things to talk about, Austin will be right there the same way. If he has something to talk about, I'll be right there to add to or go along with the theming of the episode. Either way, that's kind of been how we've ran the show since we started. It hasn't always been that we've been able to be in perfect correspondence within the week in order to, when Sunday hits, have a plan. Rarely, in fact, have we had like a plan for an episode. It's been like, I have a presentation here, you have a presentation here, and we end up both finding things to mesh the presentation, together between the two of us. So that's pretty much how it's going to go moving forward, I would assume. But yeah, I'm sure those things will be coming down the pipeline, and we've talked about 4 or 5 being a potential chance for that. So once again, if you guys have ideas for an episode, or you guys want to see something covered on that date, especially if it's Kurt Cobain themed or something like that, it's going to be mentioned regardless that day, I'm sure. So get it in now, and yeah, I'll pass it off to you to close us out, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great show tonight. It was really well themed. I think, I mean, the 79, the William Nirvana, I mean, everything was reflection 97. So, I mean, they had the 45 car win, Reddick again. So, uh, everything was pretty on point. Like I said, I found that, that NASCAR Nirvana, I'm a NASCAR Nirvana. I just found that a week ago when we got done with the show last week. I got home and I found that, and then I texted you that Thursday when I was making my notes up and stuff through the week too, because like I said, I've been sick the whole week since started to get sick last episode last week, and then getting better, still recovering, but still kind of down at the same time. So still trying to get back to normal. But yeah, like I said, I've had more time lately too. I've been in more on Zach's channels and stuff, or even King Richards or whatever, popping in there, leaving a comment, or in the live streams, been able to keep up a little bit better. So had more time, had more time to do research this week and look at things and make my notes and stuff at a little bit of time. So obviously we'll see how that all goes. Maybe next week we'll talk more about. I know we thought about talking about my investment thing because it's been just over a month since I did it. Maybe we'll talk about that next week a little bit, just for kind of a refresher. Maybe some new people or people that want to get in, or people that have questions or something. Maybe there'll be a good time to bring that up next week. But yeah, next week we turn 80, so
Yeah.
the big 80. So yeah, I don't. As for right now, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be more to the ongoing Kurt Cobain, Nirvana, Kurt Busch, Chad Little thing we got going on. So I'm sure there's going to be more, and I'm going to find more and have more time, or something's going to jump out at me or something. So, and then we only got the one more race, and then the off on the 4 or 5. So, right dead center of the 201s, Martinsville and Bristol. So we got the break there. So that'll be very interesting when that pops up. So, yeah, that should be very interesting to see what happens there. Yeah, like I said, it's one more episode left, and then it's going to be April. So then the real year will be here. The real year is almost here. It's getting ready to start. Yeah, I'll have to see what the week brings. As of right now, like I said, just trying to kind of get back to normal, recover, start to feel closer back to 100%, and then see how much time I have to, see things and figure things out and look at things this week. I know I got to get up early in the morning, so tomorrow I might not. Maybe I'll have time tomorrow to look at some things or find some things out. But I'm expecting it to be an interesting end to the month with about 9 or 10 days left to go, or 9 or whatever. So um, I'm sure it won't disappoint. It hasn't disappointed this part. There might really have something as we get into the real start of the new year, April. So they might be saving something for the end here. We got still got just over a week to go, so it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I think next week, obviously, like I said, we'll see. Do some digging this week. We'll see what qualifying and stuff brings for Martinsville. That should be interesting. We'll see if we get a NASCAR Nirvana sighting at Martinsville, more mockery. We'll have something to go for that. It is interesting. It's on 329, so might be definitely might be something there. But yeah, all in all, I think this was a I think we really brought it all together tonight really well. I mean, I think we brought in all elements. I mean, plus, I mean, what they're doing with NASCAR, everything is just unprecedented. I mean, you had record breaking with Michael Jordan, Reddick, so it's like, and then already having, like I said, my notes, what I was going to talk about, what I was thinking about, and what I found, and then of course Reddick would win, of course, again. So I mean, it all just fit perfectly.
Waltrip in the booth and Little doing the post game interview with Jordan. Come on.
Yeah, I mean that right there, and that's the thing. I mean, for anyone that comes on here every week or watches this or whatever, and just they either don't understand the Kurt Cobain connections or Nirvana or Kurt Busch or Chad Little, they haven't put it together. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I don't know after today how anyone can deny what we've been saying. I mean, really go back and watch the start of that 2001 race at literally 3 minutes and 9 seconds. I am a NASCAR Nirvana. I mean, how do you deny that? I mean, how do you deny it? I mean, I need to know, like, where's the debate on that? Like, what's the argument there? Especially when you say it to Jeff Hammond, the guy who's literally working with Chad and Kurt Busch, So then you got Darrell Waltrip there, he's working with him, and then they both get done, they both retire, they're all done with that. Now we're sitting up here, doing a mockery. So, and like I said, the stuff that we point out and we're gaining, we're looking at every week. I mean, it's getting more interesting. There's more angles to take. There's more things to look into. There's more ways to go with things. So, like we said, this stuff's never going away. It's just going to keep building, and it's getting real interesting right now. And I think the narratives, like we said, are everything's building right now. We have a lot of things that I think all of this. I mean, it very well. I mean, I'm very interested to see what does happen on 4 or 5, for a lot of different reasons. Especially, that'll be kind of be maybe a break from all this stuff, because then we don't have NASCAR that day, so whatever we decide to talk about and whatever happens, and then our first show at April and stuff, so that should be pretty interesting as well. Yeah, I'm looking forward to what we got going on. But yeah, I mean, I really hope people do appreciate what we're showing each week with all of this and how we keep putting it together. I mean, just undeniably, just week after week. I mean, we put out so much information on this too. I mean, if you go back to episode 60, maybe 65, 66, 67. I mean, we've been harping on this for a long time. Probably I'd say since the end of the NASCAR season last year, probably about December, around the start of December, we've been on this every single week, just adding to this. I mean, this every week you go and watch our episodes. Every week we're adding in more details and more things and going over things and looking at things again and lining things up. And look what we've learned from when we first started talking about this back in December to where we are now. Look at the connections. I mean, and look where it's going. I mean, look at how we keep adding every week. Look at things. Look at how they just, like you said. Look at today. I mean, today was ridiculous. I mean, today couldn't have been more of a mockery. And I couldn't even stay on top of my, because I didn't even know Darrell Waltrip was in the booth until I watched the highlights when I got home. I had no idea he was even in that. And then I literally right before we started, I was just watched the highlight stuff, and I'm like, oh man, DW's in the booth, and I'm like, I gotta write that one down. I'm like, wow. And then
to your point,
at the very end, I see, I'm like, there's Jordan. I'm like, wow, was that Jamie Little interviewing Michael Jordan? Oh, I got to write that one down. I have a hard time keeping up with the stuff too, because like I'm driving around, I'm doing stuff, I'm working, I'm trying to keep up with all this, trying to stay on top of it all. And it's, there's just so much. I mean, like today, I mean, everything that was there. I mean, just everything through the week. I mean, and then today was just, the icing on the cake. I mean, it was just perfect. And, you had the biffle there with the tributes. And then of course they showed you and proved to you once for all, it's not about biffle. It's not about that 16. It's about the 45.
And yeah, to your point with the whole Waltrip thing too, is it's like he's been falling into obscurity. Like people hadn't even seen him for a while, and so to like pull him out for this race, and come on, man, these things are not coincidence. There's theorists abound, but we need to see some opposing facts. Somebody in the Waltrip family tell me why he comes out for this race. Almost mirroring what we happen to be talking about, or you happen to be mentioning too. Of course, this was behind the scenes until today, but like you were saying, you texted me earlier this week with that stuff. Yeah, I'm sure you were getting the prior knowledge that Waltrip was going to be in the booth this week. No, it's crazy
Jamie
how it all
Jamie Little was going to interview Jordan at the end. I mean, while she's still 47, April 9th's coming.
So yeah, you well put. Yeah, we do hope you guys appreciate it, and thank you for the people that add to it as well, because that's been a joy to work with you guys. It's been great. But yeah, keep it coming, guys, and hope you guys have a fruitful week. And like you said, we'll be moving into, after this next week, the true new year. So we hope that you guys are prepared, and we'll see you just before then on the 29th next week. And yeah, have a great week, guys.
Peace.